Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Silverstone as we take on our first round after the new year in the Pro Touring Esports Championship for round number 4 at the Silverstone National Circuit. You've just seen some highlights there of the 3 races we had at Fruxton. I say it was a bit more difficult to overtake than we were expecting. Hopefully, it won't be the same today because we're expecting a lot from Silverstone National, to be honest. The home of British motorsport, chopping off most of its racetrack, to be honest, for us. And it's probably the best layout for these touring cars, in my opinion. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Ashley Denman in commentary again for you this afternoon with Rich Weatherall behind the cameras, as always. Ashley, good to be back alongside you after the new year. After 4 weeks off in this series, the last round feels like an awful long time ago. As I mentioned, Fruxton was maybe under-delivering a little bit compared to what I was expecting. We're expecting a lot from tonight as well, so hoping that we're not going to have any nasty surprises on that front at the Silverstone National Circuit.
Certainly hope not. And yeah, thanks for having me here again. Brilliant to be back. Like you say, it feels forever ago. I know it's only a month in a calendar, but yeah, seems like an age. And either way, it's good to see cars back on the circuit. Good to be back in the box and able to talk about this fantastic series that we have here in front of us. So looking forward to it, Ewan. I think tonight here at Silverstone, the track is a lot wider, so expect some more side-by-side action and therefore hopefully some overtaking to boot.
Yeah, it's been so far all about Matt Richards as far as the championship is concerned. Currently leading by 28 points over Calum Wilson, who we've got some news on in a moment to give you. Fraser Hart is only a further point behind Wilson, with Tom Stevens only 5 behind Wilson. Chris Grevitt rounds out the top 5, as you can see. Jordan Richardson is then 6th. Pedicito Vaya, who is the best placed driver to have not scored a podium yet this season. His best finish so far is a 5th place 3 times. All at Croft. We had quite a good evening, in fact. Luke Mitchell, Callum Cripps, and Alan Axon round out the top 10 in the drivers' point standings. And in the teams, it's Power Max Racing who are leading. That gap is now, quick maths, 57 points, I think, over Brabham Motorsport. Rapper Racing a bit further behind as well. Simsport UK and Unlimited Esports have a bit of work to do to get near Power Max Racing. Mainly because, or partly because, I should say, Matt Richards and Calum Wilson are 1 and 2 in this championship. But you get the feeling, actually, it's not going to remain the same after today, with Calum Wilson already, I believe, having problems before this server even got going. He is out there again now, but you were hearing that it might not be such a good evening for him not so long ago.
Yeah, certainly that way. And I can clearly tell you were never given a calculator for your exams, Ewan. Well done. Yeah, 57, that was really quick. Back to Calum Wilson. Yeah, he's saying in the driver's chat earlier that he's having internet issues out there. He's in qualifying, as they do get their own little private server, as it were, when they do these qualifying laps. He has said that if it does prevail that the internet is not going to hold up for him, he's probably just going to park it and call it a day, not to ruin any others' chances out there to say. So fair play to him if that is the case. It's got to be gut-wrenching for him if that is what it turns out to be.
Yeah, we're also being told by Rich that Matt Richards' ping was quite high before qualifying as well in the practice session, but I don't believe it's remaining a problem for the championship leader. That would have been a surprise, though, if, well, not I suppose it'd be a surprise for anybody to be dropping out because of that, but it would be a real throw the cat amongst the pigeons, let's say, for the rest of them, because they are 1 and 2 in this championship heading in today. Of course, we have had some storms in the UK recently, so I do wonder whether that is depending on where people are in the UK and around the world, whether that's affecting anybody and their connection to the server today, or that's just coincidence. But anyway, we'll hope that Calum Wilson and the rest of them can stay in the server for the duration. The rest of them being, by the way, 23 drivers we have in the field here tonight. All but one have set times so far, and there's just over 6 minutes to go. Luke Mitchell, currently the best time, ahead of Tom Stevens. Then Chris Grevitt, who round out the top 3. It's a Honda Civic 1 and 2 in front of Grevitt in the Toyota, and Calum Wilson then in the Vauxhall Astra. Close across the board, but I mean, it's less than a minute round here, so we're expecting a really close qualifying session.
I certainly would expect it. It's only 5 corners when you actually look at it from sort of the eagle eye, sort of up down on the circuit. Might seem maybe 6, but it is, I think, officially 5. 1.6 miles or 2.64 kilometres, so really not a long circuit, the national part of Silverstone. But yeah, like you say, that is equating to these really quick lap times, and of course the gap between them when a circuit is so short. And I would say not as technical, but I think that's wrong to say, because you take these corners at such speed, you have to be so precise, and that kind of makes them technical. And so it is going to be a challenge for the drivers, but all of that mixed together means lap times should be very, very close.
Yep, they certainly will be. We'll keep an eye on this session as it carries on. Of course, I was actually going to agree with you, Jamal. It's not a very technical circuit. It's basically 4 corners, and none of them are particularly difficult. But as you say, when there are such a limited number of them, you can really focus in on them all, and then you're trying to perfect them, and then it gets all difficult. And see, that's where the differences are made around here, because really it is a bit of a straight line speed circuit. But I want to know if everybody else is on the same page as me, that it's going to be, or they're expecting a very close sort of slipstream affected race, because there are a lot of straights, as I mentioned. However, I said the same at Thruxton, which is making me a little bit sort of reserved on whether the same thing's going to happen here, because really it was very, very difficult to overtake at Thruxton 4 weeks ago. I don't think there's any getting away from that.
You're right. We can't escape that, of course. We saw how it all panned out. The one thing I'd say Silverstone has for it is the fact that the track is much wider, because of course it accommodates all the different variations of motorsport, from Formula 1 right the way down to this level, sort of touring car. I say level, the car class, you know what I'm talking about. And of course it also hosts the motorbikes as well, every now and then. So you do have to factor all of the different class of car, and therefore the track is wider, more safety features, you can really go at it. But yeah, being wider, should be able to get side by side, and let's hope for that today. Otherwise, yeah, I don't want a repeat of Thruxton, because I mean, although it was exciting, it did, you really had to wait for an overtake to occur. But I guess it means they come at premium. You can appreciate them a bit more, maybe.
Well, exactly. I was just, as we were watching those highlights there, reminded of that 3 wide moment coming in towards turn 1. I think it was the start of the final race. The third reverse grid race, of course, is often the most exciting because of that factor of the reverse grid. And you're right, it does very much add that element of anticipation and build up, and then when they get side by side, it's all very exciting. That is, I don't think, going to be the case here, but let's see. Jordan Richardson goes over the line and improves to third, but not as much as Luke Mitchell's improving. 2 purple sectors through the first 2 sectors of the lap here at Silverstone, and Luke Mitchell only needs to find half a tenth to get in front of Matt Richards. This could be the first 56.7 we see in the day, or maybe even better than that. It's a 56.6 with nearly 3 minutes to go. Now, we've said this before, and Matt Richards has pulled a lap out the bag very late on, but that's quite a gap for Mitchell to hold on to with such a limited amount of time remaining.
Yeah, it certainly is. One of the drivers, I'm trying to work out which one it was earlier on, told me that, every 100th matters around this circuit. I'm very inclined to agree with them. And Jordan Osborne, we're riding on board with here. Just to quote him, and just to cut back to you in a moment ago, 4 corners. He said he's not a lover of this circuit, and he says it feels like backwards NASCAR. I can kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously right turns rather than left is what he's referring to there. I mean, it's but we joke about it. It's really not dissimilar to that. Obviously less high speed, and there is a turn goes the opposite way around. There it is through Brooklands, but it really does feel like that when you come out the corners. Especially in these cars, you're going to be on the straight for a fairly significant amount of time, and the draft is going to be important. So whether it turns out to be a NASCAR style race obviously remains to be seen, but I absolutely see what he means by that, because you can certainly see the similarities all over the place. Jordan Richardson, by the way, purple in sector number 1, and there's pit lane for Stevens and Richards now, so I wonder whether we might have Richards just getting out there now for one last go. This time from Richardson could be one of the last challenges for pole.
Certainly looks that way. Purple first sector is personal best in the middle, so this looks like it could be quick then for Richardson. Oh, of course, only a few corners left to this lap, and of course he's now flying through Luffield and then round the final corner up towards the old start-finish straight. If you're a Formula One fan out there, I'm sure many of you are when it comes to motorsport. Over the line he goes. What can Richardson do here then? Currently 5th. Where does this put him now? It's an improvement. Oh, second on the row.
Yeah, 2/3 of us, 10th behind Luke Mitchell, who is not improving on this last lap of his session. So that looks like it's that for him. Matt Richards is going to be out next then, in front of Tom Stevens, out there in 4th and 3rd place, respectively, those two. And I feel like they are the ones with the last chance. Here comes Matt Richards with about 20 seconds remaining. He's on an out lap at the moment. Now he begins a real lap. This is 100% push. We've seen him steal pole from these positions before.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, if you're going to bet it on someone to do it, it is this man, of course, leading the championship. We've seen him do it, I think, 3 times now. If I'm not mistaken, it might only be the twice, though. But either way, through the top part of the circuit and now onto the Wellington straight. Only a few corners left for Richards. Let's see what he can do with his lap. His first sector, though, nothing to really write home about.
No, not at the moment. Into sector 2. Yeah, at the end of sector 2, rather. And I'm afraid this doesn't look like Matt Richards is going to pull off the impossible. None of these sectors are really big enough for you to overhaul such a margin on its own, I don't think, especially when you realise you're losing time through those first 2. And same goes for Stevens. So it looks like the top 4, maybe the top 8, are going to be set here already. No improvement for Matt Richards. I think the same is going to be for Tom Stevens as well. So one of the lower starting positions from Matt Richards here. So far, we've had 3 rounds. He's won race 1 on every single occasion. Is this going to be the first round in which he doesn't?
I mean, let's find out. Of course, he's going to have the ballast on board as well by the time we get to the race. At the moment, none of the drivers have that extra weight added. That was a shame for Kappa there. It was looking pretty strong in the middle, or at least his personal best. It was that first corner, I believe, into Luffield. Abby Luffield. Sorry, not Abby Luffield. Into Luffield, I should say. Reading my notes wrong. He just got a little bit wide on the apex. I think it just cost him too much, so he pulls it in. End of. But 10th, not bad for Kappa. I think he'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, top 10 is nothing to be too displeased about. 23 driver field of this quality. As the qualifying session draws to a close, I think that is everybody who has come across the line now. And indeed it is Luke Mitchell who takes the pole in front of Jordan Richardson. Still a Powermax Racing driver on the front row, but not one of the 2 that you might expect. Tom Stevens and Matt Richards then will share row 2 ahead of Chris Grewett and Cedar Vaya. It is Fraser Hart and Calum Wilson who's qualified 8th here, maybe a little bit further down than he would have liked. Simon Trebek and Alessandro Kappa round out the top 10. Carl Benton is 11th in front of Carlo Messina, with Jordan Hyde and Stuart Rolfe sharing row 7. Darren Wright will be 15th in front of Alan Smith, with Jordan Osborne and Matthew Williams rounding off row 9. Alan Axon's the last driver within a second of pole. He's all the way down in 19th. Dave Brewster 20th. Yaroslav Fides in 21st. Alexander Sarema is 22nd in front of Olivia Krasanovskaya, who is in 23rd. 23 drivers in this field as well. Qualifying is over and there's a few minutes of warm-up before the opening race of the day. Bit of a chance for everybody to get used to having cars around them again, because as you say, they get their own circuit for qualifying. That will not be the case for the race coming up in a few moments' time. They're all going to be out there together, and it's going to be one big traffic jam coming, especially down towards turn 2. This section of corners there, or rather the pair of corners really, coming in towards the start of Beckett's. Instead of going through them, you turn sharp right, and that's always the place you've got to be scared of on lap 1, not necessarily turn 1.
No, absolutely. And the other thing with that is, as you come into Maggots, the first part of that little complex, it is a kink to the left before it sharply turns back to the right as well. And normally when you see those sorts of corners, the way they line up, that normally does spell a bit of disaster. As well as you've got the grass to the inside on your right-hand side as you're going into the corner. If anybody catches a wheel or anybody goes over it, of course, it could spell curtains for anybody on the circuit, because they're going to be lined up like Skittles out there. So that could be something to throw into the mix. I would say, Ewan, at the second, we need to keep our eyes on Calum Wilson, simply because we need to see if he's having any issues and if he's going to stay in this server. Of course, this is his first chance and test to see how he's faring while there's others on the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. To remind you, the top 5 who have got ballast on this for this race are Matt Richards, Scott Mitchell-Mum, Carl Benton, Alan Smith, Tom Stevens. So watch out for them to drop through the field. Of those, only really Matt Richards and Tom Stevens have qualified sort of well. But so far, to be honest, in race 1, ballast hasn't really had too much of an effect. And to be honest, I don't think race 2, I mean, on occasion we have seen race 2 be a little bit different because of the ballast. But, you know, the first race I don't think is affected too much by ballast. And Matt Richards will certainly be hoping that it doesn't, because he's already not qualified quite as well as he normally does, and he's very heavy compared to mostly ballast-free cars around him.
Do you know what I think it is that accumulates into that sort of position they get is the fact that the circuits we've had so far have been very quick. They've been very much carrying the momentum through a corner, and that is your best way to get. That's what you're going to aim for, of course, but because of that, the ballast hasn't had as big of an effect. The only corner I can think of was when we cast our minds all the way back to Croft in the second round, that final sort of section of corners, and with that hairpin in mind, that's probably where the ballast is going to take most of the effect as you slow the car right down, and then you need to spin it all back up and get up to full pace, and that's where it will matter most. I think with a circuit like this again here at Silverstone, might see very much of the same, where it's not going to have too big of an impact.
Yeah, it's not a bad theory at all. We are going to get to some other circuits where it might be a bit more tricky coming up in the future. Maybe Oulton Park coming up, Snetterton, Brands Hatch maybe. But yeah, we've had some pretty flowing circuits so far this season. Next time out, by the way, we're at Knock Hill. We'll be live every 2 weeks pretty much from now, with the odd exception. I think it is every 2 weeks from now, until March 22nd, where we end our season at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. So Knock Hill in 2 weeks' time, and then lots more classic British racetracks to come before the end of the season. Well, the drivers are now getting themselves onto the grid, and exactly where they qualified. And they'll very shortly be underway for the first race of the day. 22 cars in the field, and I no longer can see Calum Wilson. I suspect he may well have disconnected. He's decided his connection's not good enough. I think he's taken it upon himself to leave the server. I can't see him anyway.
Let me check driver's chat. He says he's coming back quick as he can, fixed and loading in. I don't know what he is necessarily referring to, but I think he's going to miss this first race nonetheless, so hopefully we can get him in for race 2 and 3, and he's not going to lose out too much. Of course, one of those rounds, if he does miss just the one, of course will be that part of his drop round scoring, so it's not going to hamper him all that much in the grand scheme of things, but it's not ideal.
Especially when you're already 28 points behind Matt Richards, you want to use every opportunity to gain points on him that you can. But as you say, it's going to have to be a drop round this time around. He hasn't actually scored 0 points yet in any race, so he has got some solid drops. But see, the thing is, he's not quite as solid on the drops as Matt Richards, whose worst finishes are 13th, 4th, and 7th. When 4th is one of your 3 worst scores out of 9. That's not bad, to be honest. So this could be a drop score for Matt Richards, but he's already started to sort of understand where he's going to be at the end of the season, and just what scores he's going to be dropping. And if you can retain quite a nice safety net, as I call it, for the drop races, then you can go into some of these events with a little bit more relaxation than maybe you otherwise might do, given the pressure always on a championship leader, especially in race 1, when very likely they've got the ballast on board from a good result in the previous race. Matt Richards won the reverse grid race at Thruxton, and he therefore is very, very heavy on ballast, and starting from 4th position for race number 1. Here we go from Silverstone in the Pro Touring Esports Championship for round number 4. Soon to get underway. Here we go for 22 minutes. Luke Mitchell on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side. Jordan Richardson on the left. And we are underway from the Silverstone National circuit. Has Richardson got a good enough run to get alongside? It looks like he might do. In towards turn number 1. Pretty much flat out as you're getting going off of the grid. But John Richardson already has taken the lead here. Tom Stevens challenges his teammate as well. Coming up for second position as they come down in towards Beckett's for the first time. Richardson on the defensive. He's forced to be there with Mitchell still alongside. He's heading round the outside here with Matt Richards retaining fourth. A very orderly start as only one position changes inside the top 12 through Beckett's the first time.
Pretty much 2 by 2 as they all make their way through the first few corners. Now down the Wellington straight. Car off in the background, not sure who that is at the moment, but either way, now down into Luffield. Richardson still retains the lead from Mitchell Stevens, second and third. Richards hung on to fourth there, because I did see Grevitt having a little look down the inside into Beckett's on this opening lap, and he's doing it once again here through the final corner.
Out of the final turn. This is dangerous stuff for Matt Richards at the moment. Grevitt's still there. Oh, he's been edged off the road there very nearly, or at least put him behind Richards, who's brave, committed in turning in for Cobb's corner. But he recognised the importance of keeping Grevitt behind him there, I feel.
Certainly did seem that way, and it's interesting to see that Grevitt really on the attack, but he's now going to have to look backwards because Weyer is going to try and sneak around the outside through this right-hander of Maggots. They're still going to be side by side as they make the way onto the Wellington. That looked like it was Kappa trying to have a little look on Trebek there as well, that we just caught a glimpse of on board with. Richardson looking defensive now here into Luffield as well, from Mitchell trying to mount the attack and retake that lead.
He's going to look again there at Luffield. Is he alongside? No. Richardson just fading out a little bit away from the apex to try and get a good exit onto the front straight, but not so much as to allow a Honda's width down the inside there. And so Mitchell forced to stay in behind. Stevens there as well. Matt Richards is in fourth place and he's with these guys, but look at the gap behind and look at what being knocked back has got Chris Grevitt into here. He's behind Ciro Vaya now as well, which is just a show of just where Richards could be if he'd have lost that place. That was so crucial for him to hold on to fourth place on that opening lap.
Yeah, he did very well to hang on to it. I think this is a man that knows what going racing really is. Of course, he knew he had to keep it. He knew he had to stay ahead, because as soon as you lose that, a little bit of that momentum, I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot here this evening, you're going to just drop further and further back. A second between Richards and Weyer now as well, as these two are still going at it. This could be Mitchell's chance down the inside of Woodcote. Yes, he is alongside with Richardson. He has the advantage. Now it's going to be a straight drag round the final curve, up over the start finish line and into Copse. Who's going to be the first one there?
Well, it's going to be a photo finish. If it were the last lap, I think Mitchell would get there, and indeed he's able to get in front. I wonder whether Richardson let him in there or whether he just had the speed anyway, because surely you wouldn't want to be putting yourself into a sandwich position here if you're Richardson. Here comes Tom Stevens in towards Beckett's, but he's not at the moment able to really help his teammate. This is where having Mitchell and Stevens up here is a big advantage for the two of them. They've just got to work out how they can best execute this race now as teammates, as two of that front three.
Yeah, absolutely. As they're now onto the Wellington once again. You're going to see this very quickly going round and round and round. It's such a short lap. Before you know it, we're already back to where we were once again. I think Rich did put it in there. I think we're going to get roughly about 23 or 24 or so laps at this race, which is going to, I think, is going to be the most for the entire season. So now through the final corner of Woodcote and up over the start finish. Any other movers further down the order? This is Darren Wright trying to have a little look on the inside of Smith, and not able to get it just at the moment.
The whole field having intervals of less than a second, in fact. Just as I said that, Carl Benton lost his less than a second gap to Messina, and you can, I suppose, see why, with Jordan Hyde putting all that pressure on him. Down in towards Beckett's now as well. Outside line for Hyde, and he's not going to work all the way around there. Alan Smith next in line. So we jump back to the leaders, and there's the shot of the front straight again, or the back straight again rather. Fraser Hart very close in behind Chris Grevitt, who's spent a lot of this race defending. He's let Vaya through now after failing to get past Matt Richards, and within 5 minutes he's in danger of losing even more places as well. I think he's hung on to 6th place relatively comfortably that time though.
I think he's going to be all right there at the moment. He's just got to focus on the long game at this point. Of you've lost a position early on. That's fine. Don't worry about it right this second. Wait until sort of the last 5 minutes. And if you are still where you are now, then you can try and look at maybe sneak that position back at the very end. I think the point at the moment, just stay in it, because if you're in it, you've always got a chance to win it, of course. So this battle is still going on, I believe, between Benton and Hyde. Hyde has managed to get in front, but he is now under the cosh from Benton.
Whoa!
Into Beckett across the grass. Who was that?
I think it's Wright. Yeah, it's Darren Wright who's got off in the Cupra, and that's got off in a big way as well, indeed. Outside of the top 20 after going off. I'm not sure whether he would have found the wall, because they are quite a long way away from the walls down there at Beckett's, but even so, it's a big off and a lot of time being lost any which way you think about it. Surprised a little bit. That's the first one we've seen. To be fair, we're only 6 minutes in, but it's a difficult braking zone coming down in towards Beckett's there. Big hairpin, and see if you're side by side, then maybe a bit of contact and you can be sent off the road very quickly.
Certainly can do. He has dropped to the back of the field. We have lost Stuart Rolfe in this race, I believe, as well. So 21st, but you can't see him just on the timing tower there, but that is where he is sat at the moment, as we are still on board with this battle here. This is Matthew Williams then, 15th at the moment, trying to get past Jordan Osborne as they now into Beckett's corner. It's also close to the bumper. It's all about the exit though, because now you've got a nice long straight coming up. See if you can pull alongside.
Yeah, he almost seemed indecisive there about what to do, as Matt Richards and Sidavaya get very close to one another. These two will have raced each other many times in the past. Very experienced RF2 competitors, these two. They're across a number of series. And this, their latest battle, coming down towards Brooklands. That was definitely by putting the pressure on Richards, who was down the bottom of his screen defending. That's what you saw, and he has another look there in towards turn one, but not able to do it. I think Richards is masking very well the fact that he's got the full ballast on board, and I think it is affecting him at the moment, but he's just masking it quite well. Richardson, meantime, is trying to take the lead from Mitchell, and he does. Jordan Richardson, almost surprise attack in towards Beckett's, and he's got the lead.
It's certainly a very nice move there from Richardson. I think the thing we haven't mentioned here, Ewan, is the battery. It's something we've got to think about. Of course, they are hybrids, this version of the touring car on RF2, and that could just be a little bit of a use of it there. Just a little bit of an extra boost of power, and was able to get alongside and steal that position away. But Mitchell is having none of it, and keep an eye on Tom Stevens, just lying in wait, ready to pick up the pieces.
Well, ready to follow his teammate through. He's not going to attack Mitchell, but he will follow Mitchell through if he gets through here, and as they come onto the front straight. Jordan Richardson defends, but there's no way that Mitchell is going to get through here. Oh, he breaks a bit late. He's missed the apex. He can't quite see where he's aiming for there at Cops Corner, and he just goes off, and he's going to get out of the way, I think, for his teammate, is he? Is he going to let Stevens through and say, you have a go? He is. He says, I've lost the momentum, so you go through, and that's probably the smart thing to do. With a bit of a gap back to Richards, they could get away with that.
I'll tell you what, he looked like he got caught completely off guard. He was not expecting Richardson to break where he did. And I'll tell you what, he did very well. Good car control from Mitchell there to hang on to it, not lose too much. He only lost the one position to his teammate, but again, maybe a slight bit of tactics in that as well. Whilst all that has been unfolding, Gravett has gotten back past Weyer, and he's right behind Richards as well. But I mean, the entire field at this point, all the way down to 8th place, there's nothing. They're bumper to bumper.
Yeah, absolutely. This bodes very well for this race, I've got to say. Although maybe not for the reverse grid so much. We're just going to see the same thing, just with a few different names, because at the moment 8th place is really not very far behind first, and of course the reverse grid race could be anywhere from 6th place to 12th being put on pole. That was defence from Richards into turn one, and this could open the floodgates here. Grevitt's got alongside at a crucial moment, coming in towards Beckett's. Oh, and he breaks late, does Richards. Does he stop it for the apex? He does. And Grevitt there needed a bit more bravery. He'd done the hard work. He got alongside in a place Richards didn't want him, and he couldn't execute the pass.
Yeah, he really needs to just go for it and absolutely send it. It more than anything, mate, you know, it's going to scare Richards first and foremost, but I think at the same time, just let him know that you're not messing around. You're here to get the position and make that place, because if you do that every single time, eventually Richards is going to know that, and he's therefore just going to play the same game and knowing you're not really going to take that risk and chance. But at the moment, it's only one attempt, so it's still 50-50. Gravett really does need to mount that attack, though, should another opportunity come. I think this could be it. He's pulling alongside now into Cop's corner.
He's got a long way around there, but he was giving it a go through the middle of the corner. I thought he might do it, but no, he's not going to manage it. And now that would not have been a big mistake, because Sidovaya and Fraser Hart are both queuing behind him, and they're both going to go through where they hit on the inside of Beckett's into the corner. Grevett's very wide. Hart might let him in there, and no, he's still trying to get himself past, but it's just taking him just a moment. Here comes Via in the slipstream and pulling to the outside of Matt Richards, and no way through into Brooklands there either. So again, Richards defending well, but he's got more than half this race left to go yet, and that's going to feel like a very long time for him here defending fourth.
I mean, it's going to feel like forever to some, but for us it's going to be a blink of an eye, and even for them probably as well. Of course, you're constantly focusing on that next apex, on that next sort of braking zone that you barely have a chance to really think about it. Before you know, poof, 22 minutes has gone. But yeah, really impressive defending here from Richards. He has still got to keep it up though for another 11 minutes. Halfway mark we're about to hit in just 3 seconds, and at the moment doing well. But this is Weyer having a little look, pulled out the slipstream there, and no way through still on Matt Richards. He really is doing a stellar job at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Onto the back straight they come again. Richards has got to stop this from happening, because I think if he lets one through, he could be down to 8th before he knows it. But again, he's doing a good job of holding them back. Oh, he's made contact! Contact as Via gets into the back of him. And luckily, he's just able to floor it and straighten it back out again. But Via flashes the lights. I think that might be a sorry, rather than a get out of the way, please, because it was definitely down to him there. See, Via just broke slightly too late. Bumps the back of Richards. In the end, no harm done.
No harm, no foul, but whoa, again, great car control from the pair of them there to keep it facing in the right direction. And not only that, they didn't lose a single position, either of them. So, I mean, you really can't blame them for giving it a go. It's just a shame there was that tiny bit of contact, but I'm sure they'll be forgiven by the stewards, I think, on that one, because, again, nothing was lost, nothing was gained. Speaking of potential gains, though, this is Tom Stevens mounting an attack for the lead. Richardson under threat.
Yeah, Mitchell no longer there, but Stevens taking up that role now, challenging the leader, Jordan Richardson, and he's diving late, diving down the inside of Brooklands, and he's sideways on the inside line. Surely can't get round the outside of Luffield, and Copps and Beckett's. It's all to the right coming up next, so Richardson will be very confident he can hold on to the lead from this position. But it's Power Maxed Racing under pressure all over the circuit at the moment, as one of their drivers is out of race number 1. One of their drivers defending for the lead, the other defending for 4th. Outside for Stevens, he's still there. Outside through Cop's corner would be extraordinary, and he is still just about alongside. Surely now at Beckett's he has to tuck back into line, and he does. The problem being he's on the outside for 3 corners in a row, and he just couldn't do it.
Oh, I wonder if he got a little bit too wide there at the exit of Copps. It looked like all 4 wheels just dipped over the sort of checkered coloured rumble strip, but I'm not too sure what the game deems as off the circuit itself. But this is a chance again down the inside. He's going to try and go on Richardson into Brooklands, then sends the lunge. Can he make it stick this time? Yes, he can. He's ahead for Luffield and Tom Stevens, your new race leader. But Richardson, I don't think he's going to give it up that easy. Still trying to fight it back.
Yeah, bump again for Richardson, and he's still putting the pressure on. Luke Mitchell is back into the game, but how much of an effect is that going to have in the next few moments, unless Mitchell really starts to apply the pressure to Richardson right now? Not sure it's really going to have much effect at all, but we'll wait and see on that. Matt Richards still defending from Sido Via. He's still got everybody down to 8th, queuing up behind him as well, as Via gets alongside into Beckett's as well. His teammate Hart is alongside Tribeck and gets through into 7th, has been through for a little while. Richards, though, somehow still in 4th position. This is damage limitation. What you'd expect to see from a championship leader.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he knows what he's got to do here. If he can hang on to 4th, I think he'll be quite happy with that. And I think well, I would say it would take one of his drop scores, but he's already got a 4th position. Other than that, he's got 1st and 2nd, so he's no stranger to being on that podium step. This is a little bit further back then with the Team Dynamics cars. 1, 2 and 3, I believe. That's Jordan Hyde there in 11th. Kappa ahead of him. And this could be a potential move then into Cop's corner as they come round Woodcote the final over the start-finish line. But we're going to jump back forward because this is Matt Richards really having to defend from Weyer.
Yeah, he's still under pressure here. Weyer on the outside, though, wasn't going to get anywhere. And Grevitz now alongside nearly. Is Weyer going to go for it on Richards here? And to Beckett's no. Grevit the same. They are being a little bit tentative in behind Richards, which is helping the championship leader at the moment. But don't take away the defending that he's done here as well. Look at Fraser Hart looking to the outside of Grevit there. Now inside. Richardson defending from Mitchell down the bottom of your screen as well. It's impossible to know where to look at the moment. In towards Brooklands they come. Outside for Weyer. Can Richards use this to run away maybe? Or is Grevit just going to get straight through? Grevit gets straight through. And the pressure is going to be unrelenting for Richards. But he's only 6.5 minutes away from safety now.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. These are real crucial laps for Richards. I mean, the entire race has been crucial, really and truthfully, up to this point because the pressure has just been mounting. And so far we've had, I think, 2 different challenges in Weyer and Grevett. I wonder if Fraser Hart can maybe get through and try and have a look himself even. Is this going to be 3 wide? No way! Are they going to go for that into Maggots? Surely not! No, they just about get it 2 by 2, but that is Fraser Hart past his teammate and now trying to challenge Grevett as they make their way onto the Wellington.
Well, it's again giving a reprieve to Richards, who's giving his slipstream to the one least likely to get through, and that's Grevett at the moment, as Hart makes a brilliant double overtake. Meantime, Mitchell on the outside of Richardson. Is he still alongside? He is just about. Richardson wasn't confident in shutting the door, and here comes Mitchell on the inside for the next 2 corners in a row. Oh, and a bit of gravel as well for Richardson. Surely that's going to give Luke Mitchell the position, and Stevens and Mitchell, the teammates, are in positions 1 and 2 with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, fantastic. The team really need that as well. Of course, the drivers want it, but the team points at the end of the day, that's going to really help them out at the same time. Fraser Hart, of course, has just done the double and got through. He can now see if he can maybe get past Matt Richards then. 5 minutes to go. He's already looking down the outside of Maggots. We haven't seen it be successful thus far, but maybe he'll try a little cut back and go up and under. But I think it's going to be a case of get onto this straight, get the car straightened up as quick as you can, and then see if you can make a move down into Brooklands. But I think for Hart, he's just a bit too far back on this occasion.
Yeah, he is just a little bit. Grab it next, and then Weyer, Trimek and Colin Messina has joined them now as well. Less than a second behind, and then you've got Alessandro Capra and Jordan Hyde, who are not that far behind either, in 10th and 11th. So it's all pretty close right now between these guys. There are the 2 who are just hanging off the back of this group now, and they're probably going to run out of laps anyway to really get in amongst it. But the minutes and the seconds are ticking down. Fraser Hart, though, putting a lot of pressure on Richards. Matt Richards already knows he's going to lose fairly significant points to Tom Stevens, but Fraser Hart as well is 3rd in the championship. Stevens is 4th, and so Richards won't want to lose points to him. And outside line for Beckett's here for Fraser Hart. Can he go all the way around here? They're both in deep. Here comes Grevett. He's going to get both of them here if they're not careful. Oh, Richards forces him off the road very nearly. Hart flushes the lights as if to say, what are you doing that for? He's really trying to get alongside again here. It's Fraser Hart, but he can't do it. And Matt Richards has lost that position. But Fraser Hart is not the one who goes through, and he'll probably take that. Grevett's not such a challenge in the championship as Fraser Hart is, and that was big aggression there from the championship leader to keep one of his rivals behind.
Yeah, again, he probably felt like he absolutely had to do that, but that might be one that is taken to the stewards, depending on your view of things there. But either way, at the moment, he has kept Fraser Hart behind, and in fact, Hart's teammate in Weyer has got past as well. So for Matt Richards, that's probably a win in his book, providing nothing happens after the race itself. But through Cops once again, there's still nothing separating this little group here. We've got 6 cars separated, I think, really by only half a second from front to back. It really is something special to see this kind of racing. I think this is what we were sort of expecting at Thruxton last time, but again, here comes the move.
Oh, and it's whoa! Very close for Weyer. Sorry to go across here. He's Matt Richards nearly cutting across Weyer there in towards Brooklands, and he is going to get through as long as Richards can't stay alongside him. And now the floodgates are open. There's another door open there for Fraser Hart to stick himself into. He's not going to do it just yet. 3 laps to go, and this is what Richards was worried about right at the end of lap 1, if you remember, when Chris Grevett tried to overtake him through here. He was really aggressive in keeping 4th because he knew that this could happen, and he didn't want that with such a long time remaining. He's unfortunately let it it slip right at the very end of this race.
Yeah, it's such a shame. He did the hard work for so long, and let's see if he can hang on to as best a position he can. But I feel like this might be one of his drop scores now. Looking at it, he's lost another position there as he down the inside. Just about managed to hang on to that from Fraser Hart. Wow, that was some aggressive driving there from Matt Richards, but just about hangs on to the position. A bit of door bagging, Ewan. That's all right in my book.
Yeah, it will, by the way, be a drop score. Fraser Hart's going to be getting increasingly frustrated by this, though, because I think he was forced off the circuit, to be honest, on the back straight a couple of laps ago, and that was an aggressive dive. You wouldn't like to see too much more of a dive bomb there, to be honest, but I think he will just about get away with that. It is touring car racing, after all, so he'll probably get away with it. Fraser Hart, though, is going to, as I say, get increasingly frustrated, whether it's inside the rules or not. It's frustrating to lose positions in that way, and so he's on the outside now with 2 laps to go in this first race. Right round the outside at Cops. He's not going to manage that, and he's under pressure now from Tribeck, and Colin Messina's here as well. This is what Matt Richards wants.
Yeah, it certainly is. If he can get Hart to drop further and further down the order, he certainly will, because although Richards will have the drop score, it might be one of Hart's scores that has to count. So if he can put him further and further down, that's better and better news for Matt Richards. But let's see how it unfolds. We've got 1 minute on the clock. It's going to be the rest of this lap and one more till we see that checkered flag, and Richards still hanging on to 6th position. Hart in the chase.
He has only got 1 lap to go at the end of this one to figure it out, or at least I believe so. Anyway, Tom Stevens is over the line, or just has been. So, yeah, it will be the final lap now. And Fraser Hart with 1 more opportunity or 2. He's going to the outside at Cops again. I'm not sure this is advisable, to be honest, as he's he's much further alongside this time, though. And that's why he's gone for it. There's contact, and Fraser Hart saves it. Coming out of turn 1, he's finally got through on Matt Richards right at the very end, but you can be sure that Matt Richards is going to go for a dive here. At Beckett's, there he goes. He was shaping like he wasn't going to go for it, and he has done again. He's muscled his way down the inside. Another flash of the light from Fraser Hart. You do wonder whether there's going to be a bit of a flashpoint between these two in a moment, as Fraser Hart pulls to the outside. Is he faking it? Oh, he's just got straight through there, and he's straight into 6th place. Here comes Tribeck. Hart's going to break solidly in front of Richards, who doesn't care. He's going to get into the back of him anyway. Hart's going to try and send him out wide so he can try and get somebody else in front of him. A bump and another one and another one. As meantime, out front, Tom Stevens wins race 1 here at Silverstone tonight. Further behind, Fraser Hart finally muscles his way through past Richards for 6th place. But those two are going to be starting nose to tail in the next one, and they're going to be pretty irate with one another after the 22 minutes of that race.
Yeah, wow, what a finish there from those guys. I didn't think Hart was going to do it, but my word, what a brilliant finish that was, as the rest of the field coming across the line now. Further down the order, we've got Hyde, Axon, Smith, Osborne, Williams, a bit further back here. I think in all of that as well, at some point Benton actually had a moment and dropped right the way down to the bottom of the order, so he finished 20th there in the end, and Olivia 21st as well. Rolf, of course, we lost a little bit earlier on, but what a finish to race number 1 there, Ewan. I mean, more of that, yes please.
Yeah, we'll take that, that's for sure. Tom Stevens wins the first race tonight in front of his teammate Luke Mitchell. As you mentioned halfway through that race, good points for Rafa Racing, who are slipping behind in the team's championship, but they'll be gaining as a result of this one. Jordan Richardson was displaced in the end to 3rd, with Sidovai getting through into 4th in the end. Chris Grevitt and Fraser Hart also just about got through on Matt Richards before the end of that race. Simon Trivett and Colin Messina couldn't quite, and Alessandro Cappa led best of the rest in 10th place. Jordan Hyde finished 11th in front of Alan Axon, Alan Smith, Jordan Osborne and Matthew Williams, the final of the point scorers. Alexander Sarema just missed out there with Darren Wright, Dave Brewster, Jaroslav Fides and Carl Benton, who rounded out the top 20. Olivia Krasanovska and Stuart Rolfe, as you mentioned, retired from that race. Calum Wilson never started it, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he will be in race 2 in just a moment, but we'll wait and see on that one, because unfortunately he's lost some points here today. As you mentioned, sort of halfway through that race, Matt Richards will indeed take a drop lead, so effectively a helping of fourth place points will come through, which means effectively he still gains points on Fraser Hart and Calum Wilson because of the scores that they have, but he will lose on Tom Stevens there, definitely. to the tune of nearly 10 points, but he's got 33 points over Stevens coming into this round, so he'll still be in front of him, though Stevens might have moved himself into second place in the championship with that win.
Yeah, I don't think Richards is going to cry over that one, to be honest. Even if he gets a penalty and drops further down, like you say, with the drop round scores and how they function, he's still going to actually gain on Hart. So he's not going to be bothered by it in the slightest. And of course, in that, he gained over Wilson not being here, unfortunately. I'm actually looking at the drivers' chat just to see. I was actually looking more to see if Wilson is back in. I think he said he should be, and he is in. Fantastic. I've just seen Matt Richards. He says 50 kilograms is sweaty work. So I'm guessing he was working that wheel very hard.
Yep, I'm imagining so as well. Just getting some thoughts in from YouTube about that first race and the sort of contrast, really, from different people watching along. Sean says great racing, some good battling. Obviously referring to the front of the field, which we were focusing on most of the race. But Steve saying not a fan of Richardson's driving in that one. What did you make of it? Was it sort of just inside the line of aggression because obviously lugging 50 kilos around, or was he maybe overly aggressive? I think especially to Fraser Hart, actually, who he did very much, I don't say target in that race. They're obviously targeting each other. They're both fighting for a championship, but those are the ones who came to blows most.
I mean, when you're looking at you, and it's a tough call. Of course, I'm not the person sat in the stewards room, and I'm kind of happy about that as well, because if you took that to me and looked back at it, I think there was points where he's well within the rules. He had no issues with that fighting. Like I said earlier in the commentary, a bit of door banging in my book, a-okay, especially in this type of racing. There was the one where he has effectively forced Hart onto the grass from what I am seeing. Of course, it's hard to get all the angles. That's the only one I'd look at and say, yeah, maybe you've pushed it a bit too far there, but maybe others might see it differently. I wouldn't say it's bad racing from Matt Richards in that one. I think he knows what he's fighting for in that situation, particularly against the championship rival in Fraser Hart. He needed to keep him behind. He almost did it. I think he definitely helped his championship with doing what he did.
He did. Obviously, as long as he gets away with everything, I'd probably agree that the one, we talk about touring car racing and the fact that, you can definitely make contact with one another. That's... I was about to say encouraged. That's not quite true, but it is more lenient for the stewards are more lenient on that than they might be on other types of racing around the world. But even so, you can't force somebody else off in the grass like that. So. Yeah, I do wonder where, because it was actually in the scale of things during that race. It was actually quite a minor one, really. But as I say, let's see, and let's ponder just a little bit about what he's going to do, and indeed the rest of them who haven't got any ballast here, like Fraser Hart, are going to do in race 2, because the top 5 will have that little bit of weight on board. The Rapper Racing drivers, who were so excellent there, compared to when they don't have ballast on board, and the others do. How are they going to cope with having the ballast this time round and having to do the defending? Because that race there was very much shaped by the ballast, I feel, from the previous round, the third race at Thruxton.
Absolutely. I'll just give a quick answer to the question. Next race in roughly sort of 3 minutes time. We've got the warm-up, and then we'll get into the main thing itself for race number 2. In answer to your question, Ewan, I would imagine Matt Richards is going to be a bit less sweaty, and I would imagine the top 5 maybe a little bit more so. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic now from now. Effectively, the roles are reversed. Tom Stevens, of course, that Rafa team itself, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep the pace up and if they can hang on to those top spots once again. And equally, I want to see what Richards can do now. Now he's had the effectively the hindrance removed from his car, but of course, it's just to balance the championship out, as it were. It's going to be interesting, and I can't wait for it.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting second race coming up in about a minute's time at the end of warm-up. 22 drivers have got themselves back into the server. Calum Wilson is one of them. So we are missing one from the previous server. Stuart Rolfe, who didn't finish the previous race, is also here. So somebody who got to the end of the 23 laps that we just watched, but haven't got into this server just yet with only a minute to spare or so. This is always the sort of admin pressure almost that you get in between these races. Something you don't quite have to deal with in real life, not least because in the real world, races don't happen quite so fast one after the other, but they do here. And just after you've calmed down after one race, you've got to go and click through a load of buttons, make sure you enter the server correctly, make sure you abide by every rule and all of that kind of thing. Finding the server, getting ready again for a new race. It's quite a relentless evening of racing when you add the 3 races together. It's more than an hour of driving and everything in between.
It's a little bit nerve-wracking, I would argue, and to be honest, now when you word it like that, I've never actually thought about it in that sort of situation before, you, and you're quite right though. It is probably quite nerve-wracking. It's probably quite stressful. You have got a short period of time, and of course that doesn't help you in the mindset of getting ready for a race. You really want to be calm, relaxed, and just sort of when you've got your wheels, so your hands around your wheels, sorry. You really want to just sort of almost hold it by your fingertips, and if you have got a bit of tenseness in you, that can cause a few mistakes here and there, particularly around the first few laps. So it's a brilliant thing to think about, actually, because it is something that drivers have to deal with.
I mean, the only reason I mention it really is because once back when I did used to drive occasionally, I was messing around in the menus and accidentally left the server just before the race. So, not my greatest sim racing moment, but anyway, I much prefer just sitting here and letting somebody else press the buttons and I can just talk. That's much better for everybody, I feel. So there you go. Maybe not everybody else struggles with that as much as me, but there you go. It does seem that is it Tom Stevens missing?
It is, yes.
Wow.
I've just seen that in driver's chat. He said his game decided to lose sound, and so I'm assuming he's had to do a reset. He says he's in, but obviously I can't see him in the race view. I can't see him there, unless it's wrong. But hopefully he's in.
Okay. Well, we'll have a look at that in a second, but we're going to take a quick break while this is all getting sorted out, and we'll be back very shortly with the commencement of race number 2. Well, welcome back to Silverstone and the second race from the Pro Touring Esports Championship here for 25-26, and we are about to get underway for race number 2, at least back underway on the formation lap. Anyway, Tom Stevens, a little bit fortunate that he was able to get that audio issue sorted, or at least presuming that he's got the audio issue sorted, and get back into the server there. Actually, I mean, pretty, I'd say, well, I don't think there's any other word for it. Just a bit fortunate, really. We'll see what he can do now, defending from the front of the field with the very high ballast that he's got, the maximum ballast on that car.
He's a lucky boy. I mean, he's quite lucky. Well, he's lucky in many ways. He's lucky that I think Rich sort of let him back in, really, because in theory he missed the start of the second race. So we've always had a bit of a hitch with the positioning of cars, so we just had to reset it. And of course, he's been able to get back in, so he will start from that front position. I'm quite surprised they didn't stick him to the back, but either way, this is what they've decided on the fly, and Tom Stevens will be right at the front.
Yeah, and of course won that first race to get there, as we just saw, but he has got ballast on board this time. Actually, he had 10 kilograms last time round, but he's got a whole lot more this time, which could well affect this race, this outcome. And then we'll have race 3, where the grid will be reversed to a degree, and we'll see how that transpires again as well, as the drivers pull onto the front straight just now, getting themselves ready for another 22-minute race here from Silverstone. The teammates on the front row, Tom Stevens and Luke Mitchell, having put in a great performance for Rapper Racing their last time round. I mean, they were lowly in the qualifying position, in the championship points after 3 rounds, but they will have increased their stock significantly with a 1-2 in race 1 here today. Let's see how much further they can increase it by with a race here from the front. 22 minutes again here from the Silverstone National Circuit, and we are underway again. Tom Stevens versus Luke Mitchell on the front row. The two teammates said it's a good start for Stevens, getting in front of Mitchell fairly significantly there. Here comes Jordan Richardson round the outside through turn 1. He led the first race for a little while, and he's looking for second place immediately here. Matt Richards getting down the inside of Grevitt there has got all out of shape, and he's under pressure from Trebek and Kappa, who are going either side of him at the moment and trying to get past. Richards to the outside line. He's scrapping at the moment, down in 9th position, and Kappa's going to shove him to the dirt on the outside. This is not the ideal start for Matt Richards.
No, it really isn't. He just needs to calm down, relax, get in the zone, and he'll come back at it, I'm sure. That's going to be a move, though, for Mitchell, because Richardson did get past, and right back at him comes Mitchell into Brooklands, and now Luffield, the advantage swings back into Richardson's favour. Bit of wheel banging as they make their way through towards the final corner of Woodcote. They're still side by side as they're going to make their way through it. Richardson is just a bit further back, but has the inside advantage. I wonder if Way is just lying there. He's going to see what happens and then pick up the pieces, I'm sure. But ahead goes Mitchell into Cops.
Yeah, lifts off, does Richardson, and he probably saw that Sidovia and Fraser Hart were queuing up behind and thought, well, that's not worth it at the moment. Here comes Matt Richards now. After initially getting knocked back on that start, he's now back past Alessandro Kappa, and he's back past Simon Trebek as well. And so he's effectively undone the damage of lap number 1. But what you want, really, from lap 1 is to be doing some damage to others in terms of making up positions. But Richards has not done that, and he's had to spend the first half of the next lap undoing that as well. So you could argue that, a couple of minutes have been lost really here.
You could. I don't think he's going to cry about it, though. He's right there. I mean, the next 6 cars are literally in his view line, and they're all up for the taking in his eyes as well. So he's going to be the man to watch for this race. And of course, let's see how far he can climb. Of course, we will have the reverse grid to be decided once we get closer to the end of this one. But for the moment, he's in 7th, like you say, regained all that hard work he lost, and he's right on the rear view box of Chris Grevitt.
Absolutely. Side by side as they come towards gets turn 2 here. And Wilson now up to 17th place. Down the inside. Oh no, he's gone way too deep though. Way too deep there. And Darren Wright goes back into 17th. Of course, he went off through Beckett's, although even more spectacularly than that. He's got a lot of work ahead of him here, Calum Wilson, and he's just, I think, made a lot more work for himself there.
wasn't ideal. He got one done, and then he just needed to calm it down and cement it, but a bit too hot, and he's lost all that hard work. He did drop briefly to 20th, but he's already back to 18th, so he's climbed those 5 positions very quickly here at the start. So he's another high riser you should keep an eye on for this race. This is sort of the mid-pack where sort of Axon, Smith and Hyde are residing. This is Jordan Hyde. We are riding on board with them for 11th, right behind Carlo Messina there, just on the fringes of that top 10, and that looks like it was wide and deep there from Carlo. I wonder if he'll pick up any maybe not a slowdown, but he would have definitely picked up a point or two, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe, because those accumulate over the course of the race, not generally in whole ones, really, but in increments that get you towards the danger zone as far as that is concerned, as far as track limits is concerned. There goes Matt Richards down the inside of Chris Grevitt, and that was a lot easier than it was the other way round in the previous race. But as you say, still plenty of time left for Matt Richards, although he may not be targeting a race. Well, he'll still be targeting a race, but he may not be able to get there anymore because of the little bit of time wasted at the beginning of this race.
How is Hart going to take this? He's got Richard, you know, roles are reversed here. Of course, this is much earlier on than we saw them fighting in race number 1. But surely he is not going to be kind to Matt Richards in this race. Who is that very deep off the circuit there? That looked like it was Alan Smith potentially. He's joined back. I'm being told Messina though, apologies. So looked like he was taking a little excursion again. But yeah, Fraser Hart, I can't imagine he's going to be too kind to Richards.
Nope. You wouldn't have thought so, but let's see. I mean, I'm excited to see the battle between them, to be honest. But let's wait and see what happens. He's not close enough this time round into Brooklands, but next time he will be there, and Fraser Hart will be defending, I would have thought. Sid Avaya's just in front here as well, his teammate, so they haven't been playing teammate games so far. I mean, if they wanted to, Avaya could have helped Hart a little bit more in the previous race, and he could be letting him through right now as well, but team orders at this stage in the season, not really necessary, or the done thing, as Kappa looks to the inside of Tribeck in towards turn 1. He can't quite get through there. Lots of those light on their feet with no ballast on board, showing some signs of life, but at the moment they're not really infiltrating those who have got ballast on. Only Chris Grevitt has lost places from anyone who's got any weight on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the moment, this is a weird analogy. It feels like a bonfire night, Ewan. You know, this is the British thing, of course, we have, and it just feels like everyone's waiting for the fireworks. It's cold, it's miserable out. You're getting a little bit chilly, obviously, with your winter gear on. But you know, any minute now, I feel like fireworks are going to happen. This is very much a calm before the storm situation. And I'm just waiting for it to all go off, really, at the moment. It's certainly looking like it's going to pan out that way. This is the top 5 still we're seeing here, as that was Hart we were on board with. Matt Richards right there as well. Small little gap back to Grevitt, and Kappa a little bit further back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The break in the group around 7th place, it is this race, is sort of happening in a very similar way to what it did last time again. Grevitt on the right side of it, which you'll be pleased about, because he was in free fall for a moment. Now Richardson defending from Sid Ovia. Now, it's a little bit early, really, to be defending that hard, but you just wonder whether he's trying to help out Matt Richards here, his teammate, as he defends, or whether he really is, honestly, under pressure from Sid Ovia to such a degree. The teammates, though, now are side by side, and Fraser Hart is going to go through here, and that, I think, is the smart thing to do from those two teammates. They let Fraser Hart through, keep those two apart just for the moment, and let Sid Ovia do some of the defending here as well. But obviously the momentum will be with Matt Richards now as he wants to follow Fraser Hart through.
Well, the other thing, just looking at it, Richardson as well is going to play his part, because of course him and Richards are teammates as well. So that could be a factor, because now Hart is mounting an attack on Richardson as they go through tops there. Is he still just alongside? Yes, he is. This is going to be a chance then for Hart as they come into Maggots then, the right-hander before the Wellington. Can he outdo him on the brakes? It looks like he might just have done it as Richards sailed through there as well. Weyer comes back, just about to hang on to that spot, but now they're going to be side by side down the Wellington straight.
And look at the teammates there, not quite able to help out their other teammates who are battling side by side behind them here. Richards is not quite in front of Fire, and he's got the slipstream. He's trying to go for the apex there, but Richards is still alongside. He's going to dive in. He doesn't make contact. Fire's still on the inside though, and he's going to surely keep 5th place. Here's Sid Ovia here. They're both now. Oh, contact. definite contact there. The two of them infiltrating the top 5, trying to get past some of those with ballast. Richardson now down to 4th. He'll be with a lot of ballast on, and Silverstone will be on the one going backwards, trying to defend, but Fraser Hart's got no weight on board, and he's got the ambition now, surely, to go on and win this race.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed, and it's panning out very nicely for him. Hopefully he can chase down the 2 Rafa cars of Mitchell and Stevens. I'd imagine Mitchell is going to be a very nice rear gunner for Tom here, but of course that gap, looking at it already, Tom Stevens, he's got the most amount of added ballast, and he's still pulling out a nice little gap over his teammate in Mitchell, and obviously the pair of them do just have that little bit of a buffer, so they'll be quite happy with that. But Hart has found a way through and can now start going on the charge and see what he can manage.
Absolutely. You reckon the momentum is very much with Fraser Hart at the moment, but let's wait and see. There is the midfield. A little bit of a gap in front of Simon Trivek here. Keep talking about him like he's French. He's in 9th place at the moment. Messina just in behind. And Jordan Hyde, who's still where he started this race. And right at the back of this group is Calum Wilson, up to 16th place now. Still no points for that though, by the way. He still needs to gain quite a lot from there.
I mean, 2 more spots, and actually 1 more now. He's up to 16th there, so 1 more spot, he'll pick up a point. Still not ideal for him, of course, though. It no doubt probably will be another one of his drop scores. I'd imagine, we're going to start talking more and more about these drop scores as the season, of course, wears on. We get closer to the end, because they will start to become more and more of a factor. But at the moment, let's keep it focused on the racing. I'm talking to myself, of course, when I say that, as that looked to be Gravett having a little look at Richards then. Something, I mean, Richards, he was right there behind where he's dropped back a touch, but I mean, he's still within, of course, touching distance of all of them.
Absolutely, and you're right, we will be mentioning the drop scores a lot more, but the reason why I say he needs to make a lot more overtakes, by the way, is because his previous worst race result was 8th. So to avoid this being a drop score, he does need to go a very long way. Here it is Calum Wilson, and I don't think he is going to manage that, unfortunately for him. So he'll effectively have had 2 6th place finishes added to his score at the end of today's first 2 races. Richardson again defends from Via, and here comes Matt Richards, trying his best at the moment, but I think he's almost being hindered by his own teammate here, Matt Richards, as Richardson is trying to defend. He's also holding back Matt Richards, who's now alongside Cedar Via. He's going to slip through the middle, and he's going to have a very easy time getting past Richardson, so that was nicely done in the end. For a moment, he was being held up by his teammate, but now he's slipped around both of them. He's in the clear in 4th place.
Look at these 5 drivers going at it. That was very well choreographed there by Richardson. You could say, I wonder if it was a fluke or not. Either way, it's gone the way of the pair of them, and Weyer is still behind then. So, I mean, for a moment, I thought Weyer could be knocking on the door of a podium, and that will ruin his run there of being the highest point scorer without one. I still think it could be on the cards for him, but I mean, at this point, he might not want it. He might want that little trophy at the end. Who knows? This, though, is up front with his teammate, Fraser Hart, round the outside of Luke Mitchell as they make their way through Maggots and onto the straight then of Wellington, side by side. Not for long, though, because Hart's going to tuck him behind.
He certainly is, and has got to, if he wants to win this race, try and make light work of Luke Mitchell here, but it's going to be difficult. Mitchell is going to defend all he can, not only for his own prospects tonight of finishing in 2nd position, or maybe even on just on the podium again for the 2nd race in a row, but also to help his teammate there, Tom Stevens, take a 2nd race victory in 2 races tonight. So far this season, we've seen Matt Richards, as I say, win the first race every time, but he hasn't won race 2. We haven't seen a back-to-back winner in races 1 and 2 yet this season, but maybe tonight will be the night. Cedar Via, meantime, down the inside of Richardson, who's still on the defensive there in 5th place this time. Via cannot get alongside him either. His teammate Fraser Hart is no closer to getting past Luke Mitchell at the moment into Beckett's either. It's close at the moment in these fights in the top 10 again.
Yeah, less than 10 minutes to go as well now, and yeah, you can see Gravett and Kappa also getting in on that little 4-way battle for 5th position. This is us riding on board here then with Kappa, right tucked up behind Chris Gravett. He's going to look to the outside line, try and take a bit more of a sweeping motion, as that looks like it was Weyer going very deep. He's going to lose one to Richardson. He may even lose the next one here to Gravett. Has the inside line though for Luffield. I think he might just about hang on to that.
Absolutely. Another battle goes through with no positional change, which is remarkable, really, considering the excitement we've had so far today. Grevitt outside again at Copse. This is surely a chance more for Kappa to get through on Grevitt, who I think has made a mistake there by trying to go right. Oh, look at Kappa. He's on the grass trying to take them. Oh, my word. He's down the pit exit there. Coming in towards Beckett's, Magnuson Beckett's now. Here comes Alessandro Kappa. Down the inside into 6th place. He's guaranteed himself a part of the reverse grid coming up in just 9 minutes time by getting past Sidovai and Chris Grevitt in one go.
Yeah, commitment there from Kappa. Fantastic racing. I thought he was going to thread the needle for a moment, but pulled it out to the right on the grass. Just about kept it within the white lines as well. So move is legitimate, and Kappa gains 2 for the price of 1. Fantastic stuff from him. He'll be very happy, as Grevett's still trying to make this move stick on Weyer as well. He's not having the best of times here in the latter part of this race. Is Cedo Weyer. He's just dropping a bit further down the order, now in 8th position.
Been a remarkable race in the top 10. Oh, remarkable races in the top 10, really. Thoroughly enjoyable. And look who are getting together again. Fraser Hart unable to get past Luke Mitchell. Matt Richards now only half a second behind. And I don't think Fraser Hart is going to let Matt Richards through over his dead body, to be honest, based on what we saw in the previous race. Little bit of a mistake into Beckett's that time from Richards. He's not quite closing on Hart as quick as he would like to. And that's just giving Hart another few laps to work his way past Luke Mitchell.
Yeah, inclined to agree with that one, Ewan. He's definitely not going to let him through. Well, he's definitely not going to make it easy. Let's put it that way. If he does find a way through, as in Richards, I mean, it's going to be some monumental move from him, and it'll be really, I can imagine, quite explosive almost in the making. But that was a move there for Alessandro Kappa. He's having a real fantastic race. He's climbed 5 positions from 10th up to 5th now, as he found his way past Richardson there through Luffield and the final few corners. As this is further up front, the battle for 2nd place. Fraser Hart found the inside line then on Luke Mitchell through Copse, and now up towards Maggots, is ahead of Luke Mitchell in the Rafa car, and I think has now just about cemented that one. He's got a straight to really make sure he has it under wraps, but it looks like it's pretty good for him.
Just in the nick of time. Fraser Hart gets there in front of Luke Mitchell. And Matt Richards is just arriving a little bit too late. Not that he could have really done very much about it. On board with Alan Smith. By the way, this second group in the race was miles behind in the first one, but in race 2, it's a lot closer. There goes Smith down the inside of Simon Tribeck. Oh, Winter Brooklands. Didn't quite feel that he had the gap there, and he was probably right on the inside. Kappa still in 5th. Richardson now down to 6th. And these are the guys who are really sort of battling, but they don't know what for at the moment. The reverse grid could be anywhere between 6th and 12th, so you want to be 6th to make absolutely sure. But they don't really know what they're fighting for here, and that makes it an unusual fight, really, compared to others that you might see for a reverse grid.
It certainly will be. I mean, I'm inclined, because, I mean, again, we'll come back to it. I'm the one with the control of that. I'll put it in the driver's announcement in a short moment's time. I'm kind of inclined to just wait a little bit, maybe a minute or 2 more, just to see, because this battling between all of them is really intense, and none of them know, like you say, Ewan, exactly what they're fighting for. And of course Richardson at the moment is going to be the minimum, but of course it could go all the way back to Alan Smith.
Yeah, it could. Or indeed, will Alan Smith still be 12th? Because Alan Axon and Calum Wilson are still right behind, and they're probably quite eager to get through. That's quite wide from Richards, and Luke Mitchell's not going to let an opportunity pass him by there. He's been overtaken there at Mitchell, but he's won it straight back again with a rare mistake from Matt Richards, it must be said. He's finding this hard work at the moment to get up into 3rd position.
Certainly is, but brilliant driving from the pair of them here, as Mitchell has that inside line into Copse and takes that position back with post haste. As now getting into Maggers, we've seen what Richards can do in this corner. He really does know how to send it on the brakes. And the impressive thing with Matt Richards, I'm thinking, I mean, not just at this circuit here, but I think it's been almost highlighted here. He can really get that car stopped and tuck it into the apex when going for these dives. It is a really impressive skill, and one that I'm sure he's very happy to have under his belt.
Absolutely. Side by side again. Grevitt on the inside of Richardson for 6th position here. These two both with ballast on board, by the way. Richardson with 20 kilos more than Grevitt has. And behind, Sidovaya has somehow managed to lose positions as well, with only 10 kilos on board. So these three have very much been disadvantaged by the relative lack of weight they've got on board, especially when you compare it to Stevens and Mitchell, who have done a good job with the weight they have. As I mentioned, the first 2 races have never been won by the same driver in this series so far in 3 attempts. Are we going to see it tonight with Tom Stevens in front of Fraser Hart? 4 minutes to go. It's probably going to be 4 laps to go when they get to the line there. Is that enough time for Fraser Hart to close it? Well, he's closed in. Is it enough time for him to actually get past it? Well, he's going to at least get his chance, that's for sure.
Certainly will do. Really impressive drivers from Fraser Hart. And, well, Tom Stevens, he's done effectively what you would say is the hard work by getting that little gap, but that's all been undone very quickly. So now the real hard graft, I would say, is about to commence, as this is a little bit further back between Wight and Richardson. Richardson to the inside there, trying to just take that 7th position back, but they are still fighting hard. I can also confirm here, Ewan, I've done the wheel. We've got a reverse grid of, believe it or not, 12.
Oh,
the most it could be.
Well, that's not what these two wanted to hear, to be honest. They know they'll be on row 6 as long as they're in right. Whoa, first and second, but who's going to finish first and second? Tom Stevens was sideways on the inside there. He's trying to just edge Fraser Hart out there, but he can't do it. And Hart's got the exit. He'll get the lead as well. Up 5 places in this second race. And Fraser Hart's going to be in the lead here, or is he? Stevens breaks late on the outside. Oh, it's a slide from Hart this time. Stevens on the inside at Luffield. And indeed, the next 3 corners as well. Hart's going to have to tuck back in and go for a late apex and a run onto the front straight. That first attempt unsuccessful this time round.
Yeah, he's got a few more chances at it, though. Probably about 3 of them, judging by the clock. But yeah, first attempt foiled then for the moment, and Stevens still hanging on. The nice thing for the pair of them, though, they've got 3 seconds back to Luke Mitchell. Of course, Matt Richards and him are having a good old ding-dong battle there as well for 3rd position. So that really is just aiding these two, because it means they can battle hard. Here's that battle now as well, and they don't have to worry too much about the guys behind. Richards goes a little bit deep there through Maggots, but I think that might have been a bit planned. He'll try and do the up and under and get the car straightened up for the Wellington straight itself.
Here's Hart again on the outside. He's got his nose in front in time for Brooklands, but this is the opposite way around to what it was before. Stevens really needs to get clear of Hart through here, and he does. He does it again. And Stevens is still in the lead. Richards gets past Mitchell meantime, and that was quite hard work. He's onto a podium position, though. And there's now a mighty queue behind Mitchell, who could really slip and slide in these final 2 laps. Just 90 seconds remaining for Fraser Hart.
Yeah, not long now, and they've got Richards behind as well, 2.7 the gap. I wonder how quickly that's going to drop if these two really do go at it hard and fierce. Stevens still in front. This is another chance then for Hart as he gets alongside up towards Maggots, uses all the curb available to him. He is ahead, but into the apex, and Stevens looks like he just little lift of the brake just to get there. And fair play to him. Defending it very nicely still is Tom Stevens. Down the Wellington straight, still nothing between these two.
Oh, he switches! He switches to the other side! Stevens thought he was going to just go for the outside, but Fraser Hart bounced down the inside. He didn't quite have the space, though, because Stevens reacted and did absolutely all he could there to reduce the amount of space that Fraser Hart had to play with. Just with inside the rules, but just good defending in the end, really. Further behind, Mitchell is down to 12th. Something has gone on for Luke Mitchell. He's a long, long way down now, and even struggling to hold on to a reverse grid pole.
Well, this is going to be a chance then for Alan Smith to try and pick that one up. We're on to then the final lap of race number 2 here this evening. It really has been an absolute thriller. After the first few laps were a little bit of a lull, but it really did pick up well. Well, it really did pick up well, didn't it? Here we go then. Hart through Maggots for the final time. Can he get a bit of a slipstream and make a lunge into Brooklands?
He's got the exit. Well, not by the exit itself, by the slipstream. Hart's not alongside coming into Brooklands. It's going to have to be a dive somewhere if he's going to get this race win. Are we going to see a repeat race winner through race 1 and 2 for the first time tonight? Into Luffield. Hart will get close. He won't get close enough. And a great bit of defensive driving from Tom Stevens gives him a 2nd race victory tonight. The first time a driver has ever gone back-to-back in one evening. Race 1 and Race 2 go to Tom Stevens only just as Fraser Hart gets the exit off of Luffield. He very nearly beats him to the line. He can't quite get there. Can Luke Mitchell, meantime, hold on to 12th place for a reverse grid pole position? Yes, he can. Alan Smith ends up missing out, but what happened to Luke Mitchell there, we're not sure. He's dropped a very long way down in this race, very suddenly indeed, but he will be on pole for the final race of the day.
All I can think for Luke Mitchell is his battery went, and it's quite a big thing around here. I haven't talked about it much, or we haven't talked about it much, I should say, but it is something the drivers have had to manage quite a lot. It uses about, I'd say 10-ish% if you use every second of your 15 seconds around the lap, and you don't have many corners to generate it back. So bear that in mind and think about the strategic element of that aspect. But yeah, brilliant stuff up and down the field. Really did. Those fireworks definitely went off.
They certainly did. It was another good race here at the Silverstone National. And it's Tom Stevens who wins. First ever driver this season to win race 1 and 2 on the same night. Fraser Hart finishes second in front of Matt Richards. So a few points gained there for both Stevens and Hart on Matt Richards, who's recovered nicely to get to third there. Chris Grevitt, fourth in front of Alessandro Cappa, with Sid O'Vire ending up outside the top 5, along with Jordan Stevenson. They both had ballast on board. Colin Messina, Simon Tribeck, and Jordan Hyde round out the top 10. The last two who will be a part of the reverse grid will be Alan Axon and Luke Mitchell. They'll be on the front row for the final race. Alan Smith just misses out, but he does get a few points. So does Calum Wilson and Jordan Osborne. This will be Calum Wilson's drop race, though, one of them. Darren Wright gets 16th for Dave Brewster, Matthew Williams, Alexander Saloma, and Carl Benton, who round out the top 20. And a little bit further down, you've got the rest of them. That is Yaroslav Fides, Olivier Krasnodowska, and Stuart Rolfe didn't finish that race either. So, race 2 in the books, and just one race still to come here tonight. I mean, it's going to be an exciting final race as well, because we've got the absolute maximum in as far as a reverse grid goes. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually, I can't remember the first 3 rounds of reverse grid, to tell you the truth. But it has felt like most weeks we've had a fairly large reverse grid, and today is certainly one of those.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think I can't remember it entirely myself. I think Donington, the first round, was probably the lowest we've had. I think that was maybe 7 off top of the head. But again, I could be wrong on that. Croft was fairly high. Of course, last time at Thruxton, I think we had 11, and now we've got the maximum of 12. And funnily enough, it's both of these circuits. I would say it's been hard to overtake here at Silverstone, but it actually hasn't. And it's been an absolute joy to see some real great drives out there. A couple of people mentioning in the chat, I've got someone saying what a skill difference from Tom, and you have to mention he has got that 50 kilograms on board and still won the second round. So brilliant stuff there. And of course, Wilson, he went from last to 14th, and he said great drive. It felt like it flew under the radar. I don't think it did. I just think it was a bit on the lower end of things still, but still a brilliant drive from him.
Yeah, it was. The problem for him is it only gets him a couple of points, and
it's dropped anyway.
And it's dropped anyway. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was looking for. So he's going to have to do better in this final race, really. And the disappointment will be that he didn't get to the top 12, but that would be a lot to expect from him, to be fair, given he started so far down. Even if not, he'll score 26 points tonight. Even if he didn't attend, he would have had 26 points added to his score. The problem is that Matt Richards would definitely have scored more than that. Fraser Hart, though, and Tom Stevens last time around definitely did gain some points. I think Stevens could even be less than 20 points behind Richards after those first 2 races, which is a lot closer than it was at the start of the day, and certainly puts Stevens into second place in the championship standings.
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant for him there. If that's the case, he'll be very happy with that indeed. And you'll probably be hoping for another brilliant result here in the third round. So see what he can keep up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this final one. Of course, again, we'll mention it again. 12, reverse grid of 12, the maximum it could be. It went all the way down to Luke Mitchell in the end. But I mean, a lot of these drivers out here, the gap in the lap times is so minimal. And so it is still quite a challenge to overtake, even though the opportunities are there.
Absolutely. Just one of the best circuits we've had so far, I think, as far as racing is concerned, in my opinion. I mean, it's just been, it's been very, very lively the whole way through. You know, as you say, overtaking has not been easy. No, not very, very easy, but it has been very possible. You know, you could say on the easy side, but I think it's been fairly well balanced in that sense. You know, it's just a good circuit for racing. Now I think it remains to be the case. What are those guys who are down the back going to do with their ballast on board as well? You know, is it going to be a surprise winner here because we've got some different names up towards front, or is Luke Mitchell just going to run away with it perhaps?
Question. I mean, the fact that you've got Luke Mitchell on pole, you know, part of me has a sneaky suspicion maybe that was a tactical drop almost. But either way,
it's a lot of points to give up.
It is a lot of points. Yeah, that's very true. That's the one thing that is countering my theory there. But it does mean, of course, whatever happened, he's got the best chance here for race number 3, and he's got the pace to back it up. So if he doesn't win it, I'll be very surprised. I'm going to put it that way.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the favourite, but you just never know what can happen in these races. That's for sure. And so we will find out in about 1 minute's time when this warm-up session is closed. I'm glad to say that everybody's in the session. We've had a bit of a dramatic sort of off-server action tonight as far as issues for Calum Wilson are concerned with the internet and sound problems for Tom Stevens, who got pretty fortunate really to be in a position to end up winning that second race. But everyone's connected early this time, and everybody's ready to go for the third race of the day, rather. Only a couple of drivers actually practicing out there on the circuit. Jordan Hyde, Tom Stevens and Fraser Hart are the only ones who are actually out there doing anything, because most of the drivers, as I think is probably normal, are just using this time to recover and rest and get ready for the final race, because it's been very intense racing so far, wheel-to-wheel racing the whole way through in this race.
Yeah, it certainly has been brilliant as well to see. Again, just sort of perusing the drivers' chat. I'm seeing Matt Richards. He says he's struggling for straight line speed. So he's having to depend on the boost a little bit, and he feels like that might be why I think he's struggling a little bit here this evening. But in terms of the battery, he seems to be using up a fair chunk of it just to keep with on those straights. So that's definitely playing into factor for his racing. But I mean, in terms of his results, he's still right there at the sharp end. So clearly not hampering him all that much in the grand scheme of things. But interesting to know.
It is very interesting to note that, given the fact he's really coped quite well with it, to be honest, that last race will definitely have counted for him. And so he will have a decent points haul, you'd imagine, no matter what happens here in this final race of the day. As Luke Mitchell is indeed put onto pole and everybody gets themselves onto the grid. We'll bring you that in a moment, as the top 12 are reversed here for the final race of the day at Silverstone. It is always the most exciting, and you would say that, you know, we've had 2 very exciting races already so far here tonight, and so it's only going to get more exciting as we get this final race underway in a moment. We'll be down there in the server in a sec, but yeah, it's just one race to go tonight, 22 minutes as always, and they're off on the formation lap indeed as well. So it's going to be indeed Luke Mitchell on the pole, Alan Axon, who worked so hard to get onto that front row with the reverse grid, in second place. Jordan Hyde and Simon Tribeck on row 2, they're third and fourth. Colin Messina, Jordan Richardson, just benefiting only slightly. Sidovaya only losing out slightly, 7th, ahead of Alessandro Cappa. Chris Grevitt actually got up to 4th in the end of that race. It was a pretty good job from him, but gives him a bit of weight in 9th. Matt Richards, Fraser Hart and Tom Stevens have got quite a lot of weight on board, to be honest, and they're starting in 10th, 11th and 12th.
Absolutely, as they finishing off their formation lap now. I mean, it's going to be keep an eye on the guys that have been running at the front. It's going to be interesting to watch if they can make some inroads. But I would say equally, you know, keep an eye on the likes of someone like Capper. We saw what he could do in race 2. He managed to climb from, I think it was about 10th all the way up to 5th or so. I think he maybe lost touch at the end, but either way, still had a really good result in race number 2. So clearly has some pace under his belt. And starting in 8th, he's not in the worst spot. So keep an eye on him as well. Is that a car out position?
Yeah, I think they're all okay. They're often not quite lined up very well, but I think they're all okay. Ready for 22 minutes And the final race of the day in the Silverstone National circuit here at the Pro Touring Esports Championship. Here we go. Green flag waves and we're underway. Mitchell gets off to a rocket ship start. He's in the lead comfortably in towards turn one. Axon close in behind following though. Jordan Hyde then in third place. Simon Tribeck and Colin Messina, the first ones really battling here. Fourth and fifth. Jordan Richardson in just behind them as the front three break away. Down in towards Magnus and Beckett for the first time here in this race. And it's a comfortable start for Luke Mitchell. In fact, not too much positional change all throughout. Colin Messina gets in front of Simon Tribeck. The only change inside the top seven, an orderly start at the front.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Kappa's actually dropped a bit further down the field, and not the start I was maybe predicting he was going to get and hope for in this race. He's into 11th spot. That has promoted the likes of Richards, Gravett, Stevens, Hart, the only one unable to benefit. And look at the gap Mitchell's been able to open up already. Over a second on Alan Axon. I'm sure it will be about that by the time we get to the start finish. Free wide though through Luffield, and now getting towards Woodcote, the final kink in the circuit here of Silverstone National, and over the start finish line to end lap number one.
Absolutely. As they get in towards turn number one, there's a look down the inside there from Richards on Tom Stevens. Couldn't get through at him in race number two. Didn't even get up to him in race number two, but he's going to get through right at the beginning of race three here. A little bit less weight on board, of course. Oh, Stevens makes contact with him and has a big slide there. He saves it as well. Fraser Hart, by the way, has ended up behind both of these, so he's not had a very good start.
I was going to say, Richards was a little bit boxed in there by Kappa. I felt like it was a bit of a, strategic play there from Stevens, because he's still going at it very hard between them. Into Brooklands though, and no way by. That's Jordan Osborne. We're just jumping on board with there. He's having to defend from Alan Smith there, the final point scoring position in 15th. And further up, his teammate is getting a little bit lively by the seam of it. That's Simon Tribeck going at it hard with Jordan Richardson and trying to defend that position.
And you might have seen a spin in the background. That was for Carl Benton, who's now at the back of the field, unfortunately, in the 23rd place. But other than that, a very clean start across the board. Luke Mitchell leading by some distance, but the battles are really behind. Calum Wilson versus Fraser Hart for 12th is not something you'd expect to see at the start of the day, but it's a big reverse grid, and it's race three after all. Wilson gets through into 12th place. Richards bounding down the inside there of Gravett and Tom Stevens, who were all out of shape there in front of him. He's back to alongside Richards now, Sido Via. He's getting towards that anyway as they come in towards Brooklands. He's not quite alongside them. Oh, in contact! This one's going to send Stevens further along sideways, and he saves it again. He's over the grass in front of Wilson and Hart, and somehow he keeps that 11th place. That is Osborne going for a spin though through Brooklands Luffield. After a clean first two races, there's a little bit more contact in race three.
It tends to be the case, but either way, we're loving it here, and it is providing some spectacle for us. That's going to be another move for Richardson, I think, on Messina a bit further back. We're still riding on board there. Sorry, that was Messina and Richardson. I'm getting all a bit turned around here. Who am I looking at? It's one of the Power Max cars. I'm just trying to work out which one it is. I was correct in the first place. Richardson, Messina, Tribeck there is closed in, and Richards as well has joined the fray. This is definitely looking good for Matt Richards. 7th position, climbed 3, and got plenty more in front of him up for grabs.
Absolutely. And outside the top 3, there's all sorts happening here. It is side by side just in the background there. That looked like Gravett, who was side by side with Tom Stevens that time round. Stevens finding this very difficult, having to make up a lot of positions while also very heavy compared to the other drivers in this field. Past Hart is the only position he's gained so far. Wilson has also got past Fraser Hart, but nothing other than that here. Gravett manages to stay in front with 18 minutes to go in this race. There's plenty of time, but I'm not sure how much time is going to help Tom Stevens here.
There's plenty of time, but I mean, it's so difficult still. Of course, he's got a gaggle of cars in front of him and behind him. Even the smallest mistake, and you're going to lose a few positions here and there, most likely. So you really do have to keep it squeaky clean and pick your battles, pick your moves very cautiously almost, because you really don't want to go tumbling further down the order. Stevens, though, still holding 11th as this is Matt Richards going for the dive into Brooklands, gets it stopped, and that's that special power that he seems to possess, and once again puts it on show to take 6th position.
Absolutely. 4 positions gained already, and that is more than anybody inside the top 16 of this race. for now. A very good race for him so far. Whoa, what a bit of defending that was. I think that's Tom Stevens in the background, defending wildly on the way down towards turn number 1 that time. Calum Wilson trying to get past him at this stage. Oh, and again, nearly in the pit exit road there, trying to get past. Can't quite do it. And there is a look from Fraser Hart. He's just about alongside in 13th position. Alan Smith still sat there as well. Tom Stevens defending hard, but these are lowly positions he's defending for at the moment. Not ideal for him at all.
Yeah, the problem for Stevens is, of course, he missed the first round at Donington, so every single round matters for him. He does not have those drop scores to play with, so he really needs to, well, defend every single spot he can. And if that is 11th, that's where it is. Unfortunately for him, that's the position he's in, and he'll be trying to look to improve still, of course. That looks to be, I think that was Richards having a go with Messina. Yes, it was. And still just about hanging on. Messina clipping the grass, but still keeping it facing the right direction.
Just about. This group is absolutely massive, by the way. No gap more than a second until you get down to 20th, 21st from that group. These guys just a bit removed from that as Luke Mitchell goes on and looks like he's going to take a race victory here. It's going to be a Rafa Racing victory in all 3 races tonight, it looks like. With even if Richardson... Oh, Matt Richards gets through. I don't think there's going to be the time with the amount of seconds there will be to catch for them to actually get through. Jordan Richardson having a look down the inside there of Jordan Hyde. Can't quite do it. Powermax Racing, I think, are going to make a bit of a comeback in terms of the points here with race 3. Richardson and Richards are 4th and 5th position. And yes, Calum Wilson is gaining place as well. Surely he's going to be in the top 10 pretty soon too.
You would imagine it's looking that way. If Stevens has lost a spot, we should mention as well, he's down to 12th where he started in this race. And Axon and Hyde here, they've been sort of battling it out here for 2nd position, but now they're going to have to start looking rearward as well, even still, because they've got Richards right there behind them. And of course, we know how blisteringly quick that Power Max team is in general, let alone, of course, the championship leader right there, ready to pounce. But they are holding their own, and it really is impressive from these guys. Of course, they've been battling in the sort of mid-table so far, but still, that gap between Axon and Mitchell, I think that's sort of been pretty stationary at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Tom Stevens again. Just looks like he's going to have a very, very difficult race indeed, and barely a third of the way through yet. So he's in for a long, long race, I would suspect, with a lot of good drivers queuing up right behind him who are a lot lighter than he is as well. Fraser Hart in a similar situation. But everybody else who's in the top 5 doesn't seem to be letting that show too many signs just yet. Gravit, to be fair, hasn't gotten too far away from them just at the moment. But yeah, it's not been ideal, this race at all for Tom Stevens. Here comes Richardson again. Jordan Hyde defending and doing a decent job of it at the moment. And so Richardson and Richards are going to feel the urgency. The queue starts to form behind them, and it suddenly gets a lot more complicated, this group.
Yeah, certainly would be. This is going to be a move, though, down into Brooklands. And late on the brakes goes Richardson. And gets that move past Hyde, so finally knocks him off that podium spot. Alan Axon up next on the chopping block for Jordan. I think at this point, though, you were looking at the pace difference, even the lap times. Of course, they were in the 57s, was Richardson and Richards. And then as soon as they've got caught up to the back of them, of course, they've then dropped back into the 58s, matching the pace. I think it really is just a matter of time for these guys to make their way through on the Axon and Hyde, and then they'll occupy those 2 podium spots. And then it really is, can they catch Mitchell?
Yes, is going to be the question. I'm going to go for an early no, but we'll wait and see in the next 12 minutes or so. 3 seconds the gap at the moment. Don't forget, Luke Mitchell was given the pole position as a result of the reverse grid and got pretty fortunate, I would say. But he's going to put that to good use now and take the race victory, I think, in race 3. Here comes Richardson trying to do the same to Alan Axon here in towards Luffield. Try and get past him, not able to there either. And Richards now has got pressure behind. Messina is on the back of him. Tribeck is there too. Via. They're all queuing behind Richards as he tries to make his own pass on Jordan Hyde.
the nice thing for us here, really knowing it, is the fact that they will not care that he is the championship leader. They will absolutely send it if they sniff even the smallest opportunity. So it is, can they get alongside? Can they make a move? Because I know for a fact that they will go for it in a heartbeat. Just noticing Richardson there, just moved out slightly. I think that's him trying to straighten the car up quicker though, as you get through the apex. I don't know if it really helped him or not, but just an odd thing. Either way, it seems to have calmed down for just a second. I'm sure it will pick back up though in a moment, maybe even now.
In towards Brooklands. There was a hint of it, but not really anything doing there. As they headed in towards Brooklands. Out of Luffield they come now as well, and that's not a bad exit in the background there for Trebek, maybe. Yeah, it was on Messina. Is he going to get down the inside of Kops? Is there going to be a defence? There's another look from Richardson there into turn one. All happening at the moment in this group. We've seen a small group of drivers at the very front break away often in this in the first two races, but not happening in the reverse grid race. It's just sort of gently going along for the moment, this race, but you feel like this group especially could explode into life any time now.
It really could. I mean, we've got less than halfway now. No, I say less than half of the race distance left to go, I should say, under 11 minutes. Just dropping back here to Chris Gravett, 10th position on Alessandro Cappa. This is Cappa's on board, or maybe not. I think they might have jumped back forward. Either way, I don't think Gravett got the move done, but Richardson did get the move done on Alan Axel there. He takes second spot. Matt Richards struggling to get past Jordan Hyde.
Yeah, he very much is, and that is unusual. That is not what you'd expect to see out of Matt Richards compared to what we've seen so far tonight. Richards already up 5 places, has got 30 kilos of weight on board, so I'm surprised that's not become much more of a talking point yet, but maybe now that's starting to come back to bite him a little bit against a lot of drivers here who haven't got anything on.
I mean, I did mention earlier he's struggling on the straight, so I don't know, maybe Jordan Hyde and Alan Axon have that car set up for some overtaking to get done on these straights, you know, into the braking zones. Maybe he just can't get alongside, who knows. But he seems to be struggling, and actually this is Messina having a go down the inside. Late on the brakes is Carlo, takes a little trip across the grass, and that is going to then put Simon Trebek in the spotlight to try and steal that position away from Messina. It didn't go well against Richards and hasn't lost anything though from it. Stays in 6th position.
Absolutely. That was an attempt there from Messina, which, well, I thought it was absolutely on, to be honest. I did, but Richards was able to bat it away, and Messina had a sort of half spin to the inside, really. Bit of grass brought up, bit of dust, and Messina unable to get past. But are those the early warning signs here for Richards that this could be a bit of a race similar to race 1, if you remember, where he was on the back foot for quite a long time and defending with a bit of weight on board compared to those around him? Well, it's got a slight similar feel to that at the moment with Messina queuing behind him.
It looks that way, absolutely. He seems to be struggling out there. I mean, Messina, of course, is mounting the pressure. Richards, he's just close, it's slightly there, but a gap was looking like it was beginning to form between him and Hyde in front. Interestingly though, Richardson has not darted off down the road, so Axel and Hyde, well, the rest of the field really sticking with him, so you know, you could still see some late moves in the closing stages of this race. I mean, that's what we want to see as well, isn't it, Ewan? And if they can all stay, I mean, look at them all down the straight there into Carps, nothing separating anybody.
No, absolutely. This group goes all the way down to 14th place, Alan Smith, who could have been at the front if he'd have just made one overtake, started 13th in this race, because he finished the last one there. He'll be feeling a little bit frustrated about that, but a feeling of not much he could have done, because to be fair, it was Luke Mitchell to overtake, and that would have been fairly difficult. Luke Mitchell's going to be almost impossible to overtake in this race, even as Richardson's into second. And the charges are on to Richards here. Here comes Messina again. Oh, he's left a lot of space this time. I think he might have been slightly put off by his previous attempt where he very nearly spun. He's not really gone for it with any conviction that time round.
No, it looked a bit of an odd one. It almost looked like he potentially snagged the wheel, locked it slightly. That was quite an odd entry victory, really, when you looked at it. But he kept the momentum up, thankfully, and hasn't lost anything out from it. So he is still right there battling. I say battling, he's alongside Matt Richardson as they go through Copse then. Turn number 1, he is unable to stick it alongside still, though. This is going to open the door actually to now Cedo Weyer behind. They're going to be side by side into Maggots. Is there a door available and open? Not quite. He just about slots it back into line, and Messina still 6th position. I'm surprised he hasn't picked up one or lost one at this point.
I mean, yeah, Richards has invited a lot of extra pressure onto himself now. Not really his fault that the gap has opened up in front, but it has, and it's undoubtedly increasing the pressure being put upon him. Messina can't get round the outside through that corner to get the inside at Luffield because Richards was covering him well there. Cedo Weyer is going up next in line after initially getting knocked back a couple of places. He's back to 7th where he started and is looking for a couple of overtakes here. What is Messina going to go for? It has to be outside into Copse, but every time we've seen someone try this on Matt Richards, it just hasn't worked. Even if you've got your nose slightly in front, which Messina hasn't, he still can't find his way past.
Richards across the grass, though. That's going to cost him a bit of momentum here. Can Messina maybe get alongside into Maggots? This could be a definite overtaking opportunity for him. Oh, it's all gone wrong, though. He's lost the rear into the gravel. Half spin. Picks it up very quickly, but that has cost him dearly. He's now down into 14th position. Couldn't quite hang on to it.
No, and that is a real shame for Messina and a relief to Richards because it just alleviates some of the pressure onto him. Although Cedo Weyer's alongside this time. This is Axon and Hyde who are fighting just in behind Richardson, who's not got as much pressure on. There's Kappa, who is down the inside of Tribeck and gets through indeed. 5.5 minutes to go, 6 laps to go in these races tonight, and at the moment it is still Mitchell leading the way by a long way, and still Matt Richards in 5th place, but for how longer? Here's Cedo Weyer again, but again the outside at Copse corner just hasn't worked so far tonight, and it won't work now, or will it? He's still alongside. Here comes Kappa with nowhere to go. He's in the grass. Oh, he's going to take Richards out. He tries. Matt Richards, he saved it. Unbelievable. How has he saved that? Coming into Beckett's, one of the more remarkable saves you'll ever see. Matt Richards still 7th. Where's he going to fall to, though? He's certainly lost momentum now.
Oh, Max Verstappen, eat your heart out, because what a save from Matt Richards. I'm so impressed by that, and he's still 8th position. He's lost a few from it, but dear, oh dear, that was impressive stuff from him there. And I think he'll be happy that he didn't lose it completely. Fair play. Race still on, though. Less than 5 minutes on the clock, and it is still very much heated in that battle. All the way from, I believe it is from 5th all the way down to sort of almost 15th. It's about to 13th, though, that gap and that group. And yeah, nothing separating these guys still.
I think Kappa could end up in trouble with that, though. As much as it was a spectacular save from Matt Richards, I think he was unfairly given the shove there, to be honest. And he had to put on quite a remarkable save to keep it going. So I think he did a good job at saving, as I say, but not a very good bit of driving from Kappa. Let's see what we think from this angle. This is direct from the air. Gives, well, barely enough room to buy. But here comes Kappa. No space there on the right-hand side for me. And he's very nearly put the championship leader straight in the wall there.
Look at the car control, though. I mean, how fantastic that is. Brilliant overshot, by the way, as well. Really can highlight what sort of went on there. And yeah, I think I agree with you there. You're in no room for Kappa in the real world. You would have backed out of that one because there was no space for you.
Absolutely, I agree. And well, that is a few positions lost for Richards. It's not going to stop though, because Calum Wilson's right behind him. So after a day of losing points to Matt Richards, Calum Wilson might be able to finish ahead of him right at the very end here. Only 4 places gained in this race from Wilson, which is paling into insignificance when you remember his previous race score. He was gaining a lot of positions in that one. Not so many this time round, as he now comes down the Wellington Straight again. And will put the pressure on his teammate. Side by side, I think, in the background. Tom Stevens is here too. He's on the outside of Wilson. That's what it was a defence really, but rather than an attack from Wilson. Inside for Luffield goes Stevens, and he is going to get ahead. Is he into the top 10? So Tom Stevens with a very heavy car getting back in front of Calum Wilson again.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that as well, because if he can get ahead of Richards, that bodes even better for him in this championship, effectively. Because I think this may even turn into one of Richards' drop scores at this point, just because it is not a brilliant race, and of course this is actually worse than race number 1 for him. Not ideal, but he's still very much going to be championship leader heading into the next round. Maybe a little bit battered and bruised though. But Tom Stevens, if he can get ahead, he'll be very happy indeed, and definitely the chance could be presenting itself.
There's just 2 laps to go in this race, and the group finally now breaking apart. You can see the guys up in front there really starting to race away as Tom Stevens trying to make a difference very late on here. Don't forget he's got more weight on board than Richard, so if he makes this pass it will be very much against the odds. He's still alongside, is he? Into Luffield? No, not quite. Richards did all he could to shove him out there, and he manages it, holding on to ninth place. I think this at the moment is more a show of just how important momentum in these groups are rather than actual speed, because as I say, Stevens has got more weight on board than Matt Richards, only 20 kilos more, but that's still fairly significant. And Matt Richards seemingly looks like the one with more weight on board at the moment, but it's the momentum that he's lost here as a result of that incident, and that's why he's under so much pressure from Stevens. And Fraser Hart's back again as well. Yeah,
just to add insult to injury really there. The top 3 here then, well, it probably will be that way at the end of this evening, battling it out here on the track, but of course a bit further down than all 3 of them would have liked. But Stevens with 2 wins here, he'll be very happy with that going into next time out at Knock Hill. Jumping a bit further forward, this is Jordan Hyde, and we're going to jump right back because this is the move for Tom Stevens round the outside of Matt Richards into Brooklands. It swings back in his favour for Luffield, and it looks like Fraser Hart's going to follow him through as well. Double bubble, and Matt Richards I think is going to lose 2 positions there.
He's not going to get any sympathy either, I don't think, from Fraser Hart here, who's going to follow through with glee and get into the top 10 again. Matt Richards down another place late on here, down to 11th place at the moment. He's only finished outside the top 10 once, and that came in the final race at Donington Park. Well, in the final race here, he is going to finish outside the top 10 as well after winning race 3 at Fruxton 1 week ago, 4 weeks ago rather, 1 round ago I should say. He's down in 11th. Can he get back past Fraser Hart though on this last lap? I wonder. Down the bottom of your screen there, that was Luke Mitchell just passing through. He is massively quicker than the rest of the field in terms of his race time anyway. 5.5, 6 seconds over Jordan Richardson. Luke Mitchell is going to take race 3 victory here from Silverstone National, and it's a Rapper Racing 1, 2, 3 as it were. Race 1, 2 and 3 won by Rapper Racing as Luke Mitchell flashes his lights over the line. Jordan Richardson gets on the podium. Alan Axon with a great drive to a podium as well. Great defensive drive from him. And Matt Richards, where's he going to finish? The championship leader. It is going to be 11th in the end as well. Well, how do we sum up those 3 races? Dramatic 3, perhaps the best 3 races we've seen this season.
No doubt about it. Definitely the best round so far. I'd argue that could even be the best round of the entire season, but of course we have no idea if that is the actual case. As last few cars coming round Woodcote, the final corner to finish off the race 3 of the evening. Also props to Jordan Hyde. He did not lose his nerve. He hang on into 4th position there, and that I think is going to be his best result so far of the season, so he'll be very happy with that one as well.
He certainly will. As we have a look at the race results, it's Luke Mitchell who wins in front of Jordan Richardson. A very big gap in the end. Alan Axon rounds out the top 3. Jordan Hyde and Cena Vire ending up in the rest of the top 5. Good recovery late on from Vire, actually. Didn't make much progress in the first 10-15 minutes. Alessandro Campa finishes 6th, but Simon Tribeck with Chris Grevitt in 8th place. Tom Stevens, Fraser Hart round out the top 10 in the end. Matt Richards falls to 11th and does lose a few points in the championship tonight, especially to Tom Stevens. Alan Smith, Calum Wilson, Colin Messina, Carl Penton, the last drivers in the top 15 in the points, therefore. Stuart Rolfe got from last to 16th, but no points for him tonight, unfortunately. Darren Wright finishes 17th in front of Matthew Williams, Alexander Serema, and Jordan Osborne, who rounds out the top 20. It's Dave Brewster, Jaroslav Fides, and Olivia Krasanovska, who rounds out the field. All 23 getting to the end of the final race of the day, and what a race, 3 races that was. It sets us up for Knock Hill coming up in 2 weeks' time. A very different circuit there actually to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first one outside of England and up into Scotland and Knockhill. This is another classic touring car circuit, of course. It's going to be a real wild one to see. I think the ballast is definitely going to come into effect more here as well. But I mean, you can see there the very tight hairpin, nice long straights as well into some tighter braking zones. And of course, the fabled chicane where you normally get a little bit of airtime as well. It's going to be fantastic to see next time out.
It certainly is. A big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in tonight to the fourth round of the Pro Touring Esports Championship here from the Silverstone National Circuit. We'll be live same time, same place with that broadcast on the 25th of January from Knockhill. Make sure you join us back again for that one. For now, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Ashley Denman with Rich Wetherall behind the cameras of this broadcast tonight. We'll see you all again in 2 weeks' time from Knockhill. Goodbye for now.